I just landed a job at a chicken farm outside town. Back-breaking work that paid enough to keep me afloat. Scrolling Zillow one night, I found a steal. A furnished room in a shared apartment. Minutes from the farm. No lease. Week to week. Cash to the landlord, an old guy named Ben. Pushing 70. The place was a dated 2-story with creaky floors and faded wallpaper, but it had a bed, a dresser, and all utilities included. Coming from a family that never had much, this was a no-brainer. I hauled my clothes in a duffel, set up in the spare room, and called it home. Ben was a character, gruff, old school, like he'd stepped out of a 50s western. He kept to himself, shuffling around in flannel and work boots. But he was more roommate than landlord, always there. Things were fine at first. I'd work long shifts, come home reeking of feathers and feed, and crash hard. But one night, everything went sideways. It was a Friday, past midnight. I dragged myself in after a 12-hour shift, muscles screaming, and collapsed onto the lumpy mattress. Sleep hit like a freight train. Then a creak. My eyes snapped open. The bedroom door eased open, hallway light spilling in, framing Ben's silhouette. His gnarled hand gripped the knob, and his voice, low and raspy, cut the silence. "Stay out of the basement." My heart lurched. "I know you were down there," he growled. I sat up, confused. I wasn't, I swear. I hadn't even thought about the basement. He stared, eyes glinting, then slammed the door. Footsteps thudded downstairs. I lay there, pulse racing. Was he unhinged? Paranoid? The guy was old, but that was next level creepy. The next morning, Ben was gone, his rattling pickup tearing down the dirt road, probably to the corner store. Alone, I stared at the basement door in the kitchen. I'd seen him disappear down there once, keys jangling. His warning echoed in my head, daring me. I had to know. The door was heavy, locked tight. I jimmied it with a butter knife, hard in my throat. Pitch black stairs descended into nothing. His words should have stopped me, but they pulled me in. I flicked on my phone's flashlight and crept down, each step creaking louder than the last. At the bottom, a light switch buzzed to life, revealing a normalish basement concrete. Cobwebs, boxes. But in the corner, another door. This one was sealed tight, a rubber strip under it, like it was hiding something. I yanked it open, and the smell hit marauding. Sour, wrong. My stomach churned. The room was a horror show. Bloodstains smeared the floor, black trash bags piled in a corner, long and lumpy, like they held bodies. A workbench sat under a blinking bulb, and a security camera glared from the ceiling. I gagged, snapping a quick photo with my phone, proof of this nightmare. Footsteps upstairs. Ben was back. The front door slammed. I bolted up, grabbed my duffel, and stuffed my clothes inside. From the hallway, I called a casual, "Hey, Ben." No answer. The basement door creaked open, his boots stomping down. My cue. I sprinted to my car, tires spitting gravel as I floored it, not daring to look back. 15 miles later, I screeched into my brother's farm, hands shaking as I showed him the photo. "You idiot," he snapped. "Call the sheriff now." I dialed 911, spilling everything. Ben's address, the basement, the bags. I made it clear I was just a tenant who'd stumbled onto something sick. Hours later, a deputy rolled up to the farm, asking for my ID and statement. Then, the news. Ben was in cuffs. He'd been scrambling to clear the basement when they raided it too slow. They didn't say what was in those bags, just that it was bad. Their faces said enough. They thanked me and left. My brother let me crash at his place, till I found a new spot, far from that house. I still see that room in my nightmares, those bags. That smell. Whatever Ben was hiding, I'm just glad I got out alive.
When I moved out of my dad's place, his friend Kathy had a sweet deal. A sublet 2-bedroom apartment in town. Dirt, Cheap because she was strapped for cash. The catch? I'd share it with a 60-year-old woman named Betty. At 22, rooming with someone old enough to be my grandma felt weird. But the place was furnished couch, kitchen stuff, Wi-Fi included. I just hauled in my bed, a dresser, and a duffel of clothes. Good enough for me. Kathy introduced us the day I moved in. Betty was frail, with wiry gray hair and a nervous smile, like she wasn't used to company. She seemed harmless, muttering about her knitting club. But by the second night, things got strange. I was sprawled on the couch, binge-watching Stranger Things on the living room's ancient television when I felt eyes on me. Betty's head poked from the hallway, her stare blank and intense, like she was looking through me. She muttered low, garbled noises, not words. "Betty, you okay?" I asked, pulse ticking up. She groaned, a guttural sound, and vanished into the dark. I called Kathy, freaked. "Is Betty all right?" Kathy was clueless. She'd only met her a week ago, but sounded shocked when I described the staring and noises. "That's not normal," she said. Next morning, I found Betty in the kitchen, frying eggs, chipper as hell. "Good morning," she chirped. I asked about last night. Her face scrunched, confused. "What are you talking about?" She swore she didn't remember. I brushed it off, maybe a one-off. Maybe she was sleepwalking, but my gut said trouble. That night, I was in bed, laptop glowing, scrolling X with the lights off. A knock hit my door soft, then louder. I froze. Those same moans and groans seeped through Betty. Again. My door had no lock, a detail I'd cursed since day one. The knocking didn't stop. A full minute of thuds and eerie sounds. If she was in trouble, she'd walk in. It was unlocked. Finally, her footsteps shuffled away. I exhaled, figuring her weird episodes were just a nighttime thing. Creepy, but I could deal. I drifted back to sleep. A floorboard creaked, yanking me awake. My clock blinked 1:30 a.m., not morning, pitch black. Another creak, closer. A shadow loomed at my bed's edge. "Betty?" I whispered, voice shaking. A groan answered, low and unhinged. I fumbled for the lamp click. There she was, wild gray hair tangled, eyes glassy, a 60-year-old nightmare. In her hand, a gleaming kitchen knife, big enough to gut a deer. I screamed, scrambling to the corner of the bed, heart hammering. She just stood there, moaning, swaying. Then she turned and shuffled out. I leapt up, slammed the door, and shoved my dresser against it, hands trembling. I dialed Kathy, no answer. Dead of night. Trapped, I sat against the dresser, knife in my mind, counting hours till dawn. At 8 a.m., I called Kathy, voice raw. "Betty had a knife, she's gotta go." Kathy was floored, apologizing, but said eviction wasn't instant. It'd take months. "You need to leave," she urged. "Find somewhere else." She came over, confronted Betty, who looked baffled, swearing she remembered nothing. Kathy and I dug into it online. Best guess? Sundowning syndrome, a condition where some older folks get confused or aggressive at night. Betty's episodes fit. Fine by day, unhinged after dark. The thought chilled Mesh walked into my room, knife in hand, maybe intending to hurt me in her fogged-up mind. I packed my stuff, crashed at my dad's, and never looked back. That apartment was a steal, but no deal's worth waking up to a blade.